Hello and welcome to my first podcast. My name is Max Rack, and this podcast is about my journey from mediocrity to mastery. You are listening to episode 12. The uncomfortable is worth it. If you have listened to last week's episode about breathing, you will know what the topic is about today. If not, I will start with a short description before starting my story. So today is about the benefits of taking regularly, ideally daily cold showers. It's not important to listen to every episode, so if you just searched around to find something new to listen to, you're at the right place. I'm keeping every episode as an evergreen content that you will be able to take something out of it, even if it's your first episode you listen to. If you're a weekly listener, you'll know that due to the fact I'm repeating certain ideologies multiple times, because exactly that repetition over and over again is important to manifest a new ideology into your belief system. I recorded an own episode on the matter and importance of repetition. I will link it down into the show notes, or you can go back to episode 9 to listen to it. But enough of the chatter. Let's get into the story. Let's look back at the time of my apprenticeship as an office manager. During that time, I have worked 2 jobs. I put many hours into my training, and from Thursday evening to Sunday, I had usually worked approximately 20 additional hours at the petrol station. Many nights, well, let's start over. I worked mainly the night, or let's call it the late evening shifts, on the petrol station. Very boring. Usually nothing exciting happened during those hours of the day. So I started at, I think it was 6:30, and I finished off approximately 11:30. During that time, I had been mostly alone in the petrol station, at least from a worker's perspective. I had worked on the till as well as in the small bakery shop next to the till, which was like right to it. Usually there were so few people during that night shift that I had the petrol station refilled within the first 2 hours, and I was sitting behind the till and watched TV the rest of the time. The last 30 minutes I had one of the owners coming over, which looked after the till, that I could put all the equipment, which was still outside for customers' use, into the car wash garage for overnight storage. I also did the final refill of the station and packed up the leftovers from the bakery store I was allowed to take home with me. Great perk. Actually, we always had some pastries for breakfast Sunday morning. Most nights I was totally fit after the shift and nowhere close to tired, although it was almost midnight when I got home. Now I know that that was due to my circadian rhythm, which got messed up due to all the artificial light inside the petrol station and as well outside when I put the equipment away, which made my body believe it was middle of the day. rather than late at night. After a while, I started to go to the gym straight after the shift and worked out usually for 30 minutes, maybe an hour, and had a shower in the gym before heading home. And it was a 24/7 gym, which I could go into with like a small card, like a credit card. I think the studio was even called Card Studio. In the area I grew up, people are very frugal, as my American friend would say. I would prefer using the word cheap. Never mind. So the heating, especially for warm water, the heating, especially for warm water, is turned off after certain times of the day to save those energy costs, while warm water is barely used while we all sleep. The same applies to the gym. Usually the first 30 seconds of my shower were comfortable warm, and it got cold very quickly thereafter. It was very hard at first, but it got much easier after a while to be exposed to the cold. I have to admit, in the beginning I thought, fuck it, and shower at home. But I knew at home they will be the same, and there won't be hot water until 6ish the next morning. After getting into that routine, after my shift, I slept much better, and I also encountered many other benefits, such as less stress, although I worked many weeks way above 60 hours. I was sick less, and I lost weight. Until probably 8 months ago, I thought this was all because of my workout after the shifts. But I know now that the workout obviously contributed to this, but the cold showers, which I came into my life on a regular basis, had an even greater contribution to those benefits. If you have done some cold showers since last week's episode, you will have experienced some of those benefits yourself. And although I'm aware of all those benefits and had cold showers almost daily starting the end of last year, I have struggled the last probably 3 weeks to do those daily, and I can feel the difference. I focus on getting that habit back into place and will share my experience once more. If you have made your own experience with cold showers, I would love to hear from you. So please go into the show notes and reach out through any of the social media platforms I have linked into my show notes, and we can start a conversation. I will share my top 3 benefits of cold showers. Those are not the only benefits, but for now I will leave it with my personal top 3. Personal top benefit number 1: increases brown fat. You may think that sounds silly. Why increasing fat should be a benefit to me? Okay, let's start over. Let's explain it in another way. Our bodies have 2 types of fat tissues. The ones out of white fat and the others made of brown fat. While the white fat, you have to imagine, is all the fat we won't have in our bodies and we want to get rid of, but we struggle to do so. The white fat is the fat our bodies store around our waist, our neck, and our lower back, and it is stored when we consume more calories as we need to use for energy on that certain or specific day. On the other hand, the many functions of brown fat is to keep our bodies warm, and therefore it is found much more in infants and young children. But because of this function, by exposing ourselves to cold regularly, our body automatically increases brown fat production to keep us warm. In the production of that brown fat, our body will burn additional calories. And a study I recently read stated that when the brown fat production is started, our body can burn an incredible additional 300 calories the next 24 hours. And that only through exposure to cold. You don't have to work out those 24 hours to do those additional 300 calories. The study went even further and said shivering 10 minutes in the cold can have the same benefits than an hour of moderate exercise. Well, I would not recommend to skip the gym and instead walk during the winter months outside for 15 minutes with shorts and a t-shirt. But I cannot recommend it simply because I haven't tested that for myself. Something I should probably evaluate as an alternative for a gym session on a busy day. My personal top benefit number 2, cold showers speed up muscle recovery. Many of you have probably followed the 2014 FIFA World Cup, whereby Germany won the World Championship. Yes, I am German, and it was a great year. And it was even more special for me as the World Championship winning goal scorer Mario Götze is born in the same city as I am. But that is not where I wanted to bring the conversation to. With bringing up the FIFA World Cup, you may have seen Per Mertesacker. At the time I believe he was playing for Arsenal London in the Premier League, going into those huge ice buckets. So like a huge bucket, like probably as high as me, because he's a tall guy, so it went to his hip, maybe a little bit higher. It was filled with ice, and he went into the bucket after every game. And the reason for that was the increase of his recovery of muscles due to the cold exposure. After the World Cup, it became much more popular for other athletes to go into ice buckets or even try ice cabins, which went way below 100 degrees minus. So if you feel sore muscles, make sure you give the muscle enough cold exposure to help them recover quicker, as professional athletes already do. My personal top benefit number 3, cold showers relieve stress. At first, when you start with your first cold shower, you will not be able to believe me that it actually relieves you from stress. You will feel like you just want to jump out of the shower. In order to ease you into the process of a cold shower, I would like you to follow a few simple rules. Don't force yourself. What I mean by this is don't go into the shower and turn it cold straight away. And try to go under the stream of freezing cold water and try to remain underneath it for 30 seconds or longer. What you should do instead is taking your normal shower as usual. If that means having a hot shower that your entire bathroom is full of hot steam, then that's exactly what you will start off. You will also wash your hair and your body as usual with the same hot or warm temperature, however it feels the most comfortable for you. And when you are finished, you will start to turn the water to cold, but not fully cold, just a little. But that you can feel that it gets colder, but not that cold that you will jump out of it. I recommend you to have the water going onto your back in the beginning, because to me the cold felt much less enjoyable on the chest and face as it does on my back. If that feels more comfortable to you, turn the water even colder and repeat that until you are at the full level of cold of your shower. In the beginning, it is totally normal that you will not be able to bring the water at the coldest, and that you will start to breathe fast and very shallow, which actually will increase your stress level in the beginning, as it will activate your fight and flight instinct, and you want to jump out of the cold water. When you step out of the cold water and breathe normal again, deeply in and deeply out, you will experience what your breathing actually does. It will calm you, it will relax you, and will bring back your focus. And when you go back under the cold water, you feel better. After a couple of days, or even after the first week, you feel much more comfortable, and you will also be able to turn the water to cold much quicker than in the beginning. And you will notice that your focus goes towards your breath, and that you will focus on keeping your breath deep during the cold exposure, to decrease your stress level and be fully aware of the current moment. I would still recommend you to start off with your back, but now you can turn around and also expose your chest as well as your face to the cold. Especially the face is very strange in the beginning, as your mouth and nose get cold water and you aren't able to breathe while being exposed to the water. In the beginning, I struggled with that because I reverted back to that fight and flight instinct, and my breath went too fast and shallow, which forced me out of the shower. After a couple of more attempts, I learned that when I actually breathe very deep in before bringing my head into the cold water, I'm able to breathe out fully while being exposed to the cold water. And I could just turn around and expose my back again when I need to breathe in. With this simple trick, I was able to make it so much easier to expose my face and chest to cold water. As you can hear, as more focused I became on my breath and the importance of breathing in and out deeply, as easier it became for me to do the cold showers. And exactly that focus and awareness on my breath is the reason to me why the cold showers have that impact on stress reduction. If you have listened to my episode on meditation, or have listened to any guided meditation before, you will have noticed that every meditation also starts with bringing your focus to your breath. And I think it is because it is the one thing we all do so many times every day, but we don't do consciously often enough. To wrap up this episode, I highly recommend you to incorporate cold showers into your life and stick to it for more than a day, and make sure you do it at least for 21 days straight to see a noticeable benefit. That means if you miss a day of your 21 days, you have to start over again. Be honest with yourself. If you miss a day, you will thank yourself for the rest of your life. Always remember the little things, like being aware of your breath and taking a cold shower, can have massive impacts on your future self. If you want to rise to the stars, take a little step every single day. Thank you for listening. I'm your host, Max Röck, and until next time.